It was Cathy's birthday, and she was now turning 6 years old. As she opened her presents, the smile on her face grew smaller and smaller every time she opened one, because they were all something she didn't want. Girly stuff, like Barbies, princesses' outfits, and baby dolls. Knowing she wanted creepy cool stuff like her big brother and sister. But no matter how much she told people, they wouldn't listen. But when she opened the gift from Beetlejuice, that smile grew back because what she got was a doll that looked like something from a horror movie. She had button eyes and braided yarn hair with a white dress that looked kinda dirty. With the whole family seeing this, they turned to Beetlejuice, not looking too happy. Later that night, everyone had a bone to pick with him.
Now, sweetheart, we understand what you were doing by giving her that gift, but still it wasn't right.
Delia explained, leaving BJ to not understand what she meant.
Look, we're just trying to help her not get bullied.
Charles said.
When Lydia was younger, she got made fun of a lot at school. No one wants to be her friend, and parents would be angry at us, mostly at Emily. That's why we're not trying to overdo it by letting her have stuff like that.
I know that. Lydia told me. But still, you don't need to worry about that doll.
As soon as BJ said that, everyone gave him a look that said, "Are you for real?"
What?
Nothing to worry about. By the time you told Cathy that saving her up her baby teeth for our projects was better than the Tooth Fairy.
Or how about the time you ruined Delia's dinner party by scaring the guests away by having Cathy come downstairs and say, "Someone is going to die tonight"?
Or how about the time you told her to put a mousetrap up in a cake and...
Alright, I get it! But I swear, this time it's different. I put a spell on it so it'll give her good advice, okay? So it's not a killer doll, there is no devil inside of it, just something that will help her become a well-behaved human being.
BJ said, not believing he just said those words. Everyone still didn't trust him. But knowing how much Cathy loved that doll, they gave it a chance. As a few days passed, that little girl never went anywhere without that doll. She always had it in her arms, and with Beetlejuice saying it would help her. What he meant by that was that the doll would whisper in a very tiny voice to remind her about doing good deeds, like saying please and thank you and sharing, that kind of stuff, leaving everyone impressed on how well she behaved and had become since getting that gift. But like anything, it's always too good to be true. One morning, as the family was getting breakfast ready, BJ was dealt a blow of something he had never seen before.
What the hell is this?
It's oatmeal. Remember how you told me you were trying to start a diet?
Yeah, but I wasn't expecting something that looked like it was cut out of an animal's stomach.
Sweetheart, I'm sure if you try it, you'll like it.
Delia said as she went back to the kitchen, but he still didn't care, thinking it was not fair that he had to eat this while Lydia and Cathy got to eat sugary teeth-rotting cereal. But then he got an idea. As everyone was busy looking at their phones and newspapers, Beetlejuice snapped his fingers and shapeshifted into the most adorable puppy ever. As he went under the table and walked up to Lydia, he tugged on her dress. When she looked to see what it was, she rolled her eyes, knowing exactly what he wanted. So, she started to give him some of her breakfast. But after a little while, she knew she had to get to school soon and needed to eat. But she knew that Beetlejuice wasn't gonna stop. When she saw the hot sauce on the table, she had a plan. After giving him more of her cereal, BJ suddenly realized his mouth was getting hot. Really hot. To the point that he lost control of his power, leaving him to shapeshift back into himself, making the table bounce and everything spill as Beetlejuice ran out and into the kitchen and turned on the sink, leaving everyone dumbfounded on what just happened. When Cathy listened to what her doll had to say, she told everyone in the room, leaving the demon in trouble. When a month passed by, Charles got a phone call from his late wife's side of the family, telling him that his sister-in-law had just passed away and that they would like Lydia to come to the funeral. After hearing this, he was unsure if that would happen. I mean, ever since Emily died, her family gave him nothing but the cold shoulder when they found out about Delia, thinking he was cheating on his dying wife with another woman, knowing that that was not how it happened. But they wouldn't hear of it. Charles was stuck. He couldn't send his daughter out alone, and he needed someone there for him if the family was going to give him hell. He couldn't leave Cathy alone for the week with the Maitlands, because the neighbors would call CPS and leave Beetlejuice alone with them as well. So he just said, forget it, let's just bring everyone. When it was the day of the wake, everyone was staring at Charles. Just by looking at their faces, he could tell that they were not happy with him bringing his new family. But he didn't have a choice. While Lydia and Beetlejuice were alone in the room that held her aunt, she started to cry. She loved her aunt. Between her aunt and her mom, they were the only people that she could stand on that side of the family. BJ gave her a hug and did what he could to make her feel better. As they were about to leave, Lydia noticed something on her aunt's wrist. It was a familiar-looking watch. It had a blue glass with a gold frame and a wristband that was braided with leather. She knew where she saw it before. Her mom had a watch just like that. In her mom's will, she was told that it was hers, but her favorite aunt had told her that it was lost, which left her heartbroken because it held so many memories. But now seeing it in the coffin, almost about to end up underground, made her mad, and she knew she had to get it back, but she was gonna need some help.
You want me to what?
I just need you to help me get this watch. I can't do it by myself.
Lids, I don't know what kind of demon you think I am, but grave robbing is not my thing.
Come on, Beej. It'll only take 2 seconds. And besides, you're shapeshifted into a little kid. How is anyone gonna get mad at you if we do get caught?
She said, but before he could reply, she already picked him up and put him in the coffin, leaving him grossed out. Meanwhile, as Cathy was with her parents, her doll told her to go find her brother and sister. When she found the room they were in, she asked what they were doing in a voice so loud that almost everyone ran in to see what was going on and what they saw. They were not too happy about, leaving Charles to grab everybody and get out of there. As another month went by, BJ and Lydia were bored as they could be. It seemed that the only thing they could do was watch crappy TV shows. But then they saw something on the news that got their attention. It was a report about an abandoned amusement park in town that had an interesting history, from cults to killer ghosts, giving the two the idea that they had to go there later that night. Right as they were sneaking out, Cathy woke up to her doll telling her something. When they got to the park, Lydia told Beetlejuice about when her mom was alive. She would take her to places like this because she loved taking photos of stuff like this. Before they could get started on exploring, they heard a car pull up and out came 2 people walking right up to them. Lydia got scared, thinking that someone was gonna kidnap her. but BJ stood in front of her, ready to protect her. But the people turned out to be Charles and Delia, who grabbed the two by the earlobes and dragged them back into the car. When they got home, Lydia's parents and the Maitlands wanted to know what the hell they were thinking.
Do you have any idea how dangerous that was?
You could have gotten killed!
You could have gotten kidnapped!
You could have gotten hurt.
Yes, and if it wasn't for your sister, we wouldn't have known.
Wait, how did Cathy know?
Her doll told her.
BJ and Lydia looked at each other. It made so much sense now. Before that doll, they went on all kinds of adventures that no one knew about. But now they couldn't do anything without getting told on. They had to get rid of it. The next night, they snuck into Cathy's room. Lydia went in first, but as Beetlejuice followed, he stopped for a moment, trying not to scream after hitting his toe on something. When he looked down to see what it was, it turned out to be a bowling ball.
Liz, why the hell does Cathy have a bowling ball in her room?
I don't know. Now come here and help me.
She ordered as he limped over. Lydia stood up on the left side of the bed, while BJ stood on the right. He pulled out the handbook for the recently deceased and tried to find the spell he needed, while Lydia tried to get the doll. But her sister had a good grip on it. Right as Beetlejuice found the reverse spell, Cathy started to wake up, leaving them no choice but to run for it with him in front this time. BJ hit his toes again on the bowling ball, harder than before.
Ow, son of a...
Before he could finish, Lydia put his hand over his mouth as they got out of there. The next day, while Lydia and Beetlejuice were having breakfast, along with BJ having a big ice pack on his foot, Cathy came in crying. Adam and Barbara were washing the dishes when they stopped and went over to see what happened. The little girl explained that her doll had stopped talking to her. Every morning, it would remind her to do the things she needed to do, like brush her teeth, get dressed, that kind of thing. With the demon and teen hearing this, they were happy, but at the same time, they felt bad for her. Cathy then went up to Beetlejuice asking if he could fix her. He turned to Lydia knowing what would happen if he did. So he just lied and said,
Well, sweetheart, do you remember in Mary Poppins when she left after the family became happy again?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's what happened with Annabelle. It's the same thing. She knows that you don't need her anymore, so why should she stick around if you don't need her help anymore?
The little girl nodded, understanding what he meant, but at the same time, she couldn't help but cry again. Annabelle was more than just a toy. She was her friend. As she went to the living room, she threw the doll that she once loved across the room. But the second she did that, something started to happen. As Cathy was watching TV, behind her, Annabelle started to move as if 100 rats were inside her, trying to eat their way out, but then stopped. Then the stitches on her mouth popped one by one. Then the doll stood up and slowly gave a big smile, then said something that wasn't in a whisper this time.